Alrighty, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started with our SHAC meeting for today. For the record, today is February 13th, and it's close to being noon. This is our third SHAC meeting for the year. State mandate requires that we have 4, so this is the third one, and we'll have one later on the rest of this spring semester. So I do want to introduce myself. My name is Roxanne Robledo. I am the co-chair for the SHAC, which is the School Health Advisory Council. And our committee is basically a group of parents, district employees, city members, anybody out in the community who can come and give recommendations to the SHAC committee. We discuss it, and then we as a department, my boss, the chair of the SHAC, which is Bobby Cruz, he will present to the board to see what recommendations can be made for our district, for our policies. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's for the betterment of our children and our students from the elementary all the way to the high school. We want to make sure that we target these healthy lifestyles that our kids can develop through the years. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We've had different topics as we've had through the year. And today we're going to focus on 2 topics. We're going to talk about child nutrition with our students in the district. We're going to have 2 great presenters today. Mr. Lira is from our child nutrition department, and he's going to talk about, you know, what services they provide for our kids in the district. And then we're going to have Ms. Xochitl Claris. She's also one of our guidance counselors, and she's going to talk about how our students can build resilience when it comes to different situations, because as you know, as our children go from elementary through high school, there's different challenges and they go through different things in their lives, and we want to make sure our children can survive anything, they know how to cope with things. So we have 2 great presentations today. Our last presentation, we will cover more of our PE curriculum. We'll talk more about recess. We know those are topics that we want to discuss in our SHAC meetings, but as far as when it comes to scheduling and stuff like that, you know, some presenters weren't able to make it for this meeting, but we will cover those topics at the end. We'll also talk a little bit about mental health. I know last time we talked also about vaping and drugs in our school districts and how we're being proactive to take care of our students. We'll also talk about, like I said, our recess guidelines and just nutrition and things overall that we want to keep our kids healthy and happy. If our kids are healthy and happy, they perform in the classroom. So that's really what we want to target, and want to make sure our kids are growing and not only emotionally, physically, socially, all that makes our children grow up to be good members in our community. So we are going to get started. Our first presenter is Mr. Jesus Lira, and he is going to present on the child nutrition department. So, Mr. Lira, would you like to join us? Again, if you haven't gotten your lunch, you're more than welcome to eat during the presentation. Don't worry, nobody's going to judge, because I know it's a time frame and some people need to go back to their work. So again, thank you all so much for coming with us today and taking some time out of your busy schedule. Thank you, Mr. Lira.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Enrique Lira. I'm the operations manager with Child Nutrition. When Coach Cruz called me last week, he asked if I could present on our department. I said, sure. I said, how much time? He said, take as much time as you want. So I said, great. I've got a 4-hour presentation ready to go. So I see the agenda, and I'm like, okay, no, we're going to have to summarize this pretty quick. I'm going to go through the presentation. If y'all have any questions, please, as I'm going through it, always feel free to just ask. So let's go ahead and get started. So our program, our child nutrition program, we serve all campuses, all 53 campuses. Our department consists of over 500 employees. We have 53 cafeteria managers, 400 cooks, subs. We have a central kitchen where we have drivers, 25 drivers, 12 office personnel, consists of purchasing clerks, computer clerks. We have our own maintenance, in-house maintenance department. We also have multi-campus supervisors who cover clusters of schools. And then we have 9 administrative staff, which consists of accountants and dietitians. Our budget for this current school year is roughly around $40 million, and we are a self-sustaining budget, meaning that all the funding that we get is provided through USDA. straight from the government, so we are not tied to the district's budget. And we operate under a program called the Community Eligibility Provision, which allows us to provide one free meal and one free breakfast and one free lunch to every student. Some numbers, just to get an idea of how many meals we're serving in a year. Last year, we served a little over over 5 million lunches. We served close to 4 million breakfasts. We have a snack program, which is offered to the pre-K kids, those campuses that do have pre-K, and we do about 700 a day. And last year, we started this new program called the CACFP, which is maybe better known as a dinner program, and we're going to get into a little bit of each program. But to start, something that makes our district unique is that we have a food production center, sort of like a central kitchen, and that helps us in control quality, so we have uniform, consistent product that's distributed to all the campuses. Some of the things that we make at our central kitchen is bread, as you see here. Play a couple of videos for you all. We have menued cookies. At the moment, we don't have cookies on the menu, but we have menued them before. Just to kind of give you an idea is the size and the amounts of food that we're making. On a given day, let's say with cookies, we would make about 8,000 cookies a day. With bread, we'd make about, servings-wise, let's just call it about 12,000 servings a day. All right, how do I get out of here? Some video of the way we slice our breads and our ingredients. This is for buffalo sauce. We make our own buffalo sauce for our boneless wings. Sorry, oh, there it is, okay. One of our most popular items is our taco meat. So here you can see this is preparing a batch of taco meat. We use a cook chill system, which we cook batches of 700 pounds at a time of ground beef. And this is a 200-gallon steam kettle. For perspective, we'll have to do about 7 or 8 of those batches to feed the entire school district. That's what they had for lunch yesterday. Just a picture of our cooler. I'm not sure, how do I make this? Okay, there we go. So what you see there is roughly about 2 days worth of food. So everything you see there won't be there, let's just say the following week. It's constant moving in and out, a lot of volume. So our lunch program. It's a federally assisted meal program that provides lunches to more than 3 million Texas children in school and residential child care institutes. It provides low cost or free to students in public schools and private nonprofit schools. Under this program, we do need to meet federal nutrition guidelines, and they are reimbursable as long as we follow a certain meal pattern, which we're going to get into. So the meal pattern for lunch requires that we offer 5 different components, which is, you can think of them as your food groups: your fruit, vegetables, grain, your meat, and your milk, okay? Now, there's more rules within that, in that we need to make sure that we're offering a minimum amount of those different groups every day, and also it's looked at on a weekly basis. And then there's different requirements depending on the grade level, so K through 5, 6 through 8, 9 through 12. Besides the actual food component part of it, we are required to look at calories, sodium, saturated fat, and trans fat. But more so, the point about trans fat is that trans fats are not allowed whatsoever. So we need to be able to provide proof that nothing we serve has trans fat in it. So this is an example of what you might see on, this is actually a menu item. It's our raviolis. So for elementary, we have to stay within a range of 550 to 650 calories a day. The sodium has to be less than 1,110 milligrams a day, and it also has to have less than 10% total calories. Now, you see here 630 calories, let's call it, for that meal. That's if the student takes everything that's provided, because they don't necessarily have to take everything, but they do have to take at least the fruit and then two other of the components that are offered out of the 5. But the fruit or the vegetable has to be taken by the student. So if the student doesn't only takes 3 of the items, it may not be that many calories, but if they do take everything that's provided, that's how many calories they would be consuming, and if they ate it. So middle school, the range is a little higher. The calories need to be between 600 to 700 a day. Sodium is also a little bit higher, less than or equal to 1,225 milligrams a day, and also, again, the saturated fats have to be less than 10% of the total calories. High school, bigger portions, so the range for calories there is between 750 to 850 calories a day. Sodium, a tiny bit more is allowed, 1,280 milligrams, less than or equal to that amount, and saturated fat stays the same across the board. So here's another lunch menu. And actually, this was yesterday's food. So you notice here, it says actual calories 878, which is above that 850. So the way that it's actually looked at is that it's looked at on a 5-day average. So you might have some days that are a little bit over, some days that might be a little bit under, but as long as the weekly average is within that 700 and 850 calories, that's what we need to provide. So moving on to breakfast. So we operate also the school breakfast program. This is served to more than 1.5 million qualifying Texas children. Participants include children in public, private, nonprofit, and/or children who live in private or nonprofit residential childcare institutions. Schools who have at least 10% of their students who are eligible for free or reduced price meals must participate in the school breakfast program. And if 80% of students are eligible for free or reduced price meals, a school must participate in school breakfast program at no charge to the student. So right now, we have breakfast in the classroom. If you're not familiar with that program, what it is that we actually provide breakfast bagged to every classroom at the elementary and middle schools. And really, it's always optional. It's offered. So it's something that we encourage it, but it's not required that every student takes their meal. So it's something that at least that it's available to them. At the high schools, though, we don't do breakfast in the classroom, but breakfast is always available in the cafeteria. And of course, one free meal is free to every student. One free breakfast and lunch. So similar to the lunch program, there are some requirements that we need to follow in order for these meals to be reimbursable. In breakfast, it's made up of 3 components, which is the fruit, the grain, and the meat or meat alternate. Again, similar to lunch, we have to follow daily minimums and averages over the week span. And it's also divided into the different grade levels. And we're looking at the same nutrients, calories, sodium, and saturated fats. This is an example of what you might see for breakfast in the elementary and middle, breakfast in the classroom. So you'll see there that there is a difference in calories as far as what's required between K through 5 and 6 through 8. So we always try to end up somewhere towards the middle for both K through 5 and 6 through 8. And it makes it to where, where some kids like some fruits, some vegetables, or some fruits, and some kids just do not. At least we give them that option. So you'll see there they have the grapes and the juice. We provide it because that's what, the science says, is just to always provide it, make it available, give them that option, that choice. So we make it available to everybody, that same meal pattern. And in high school, we operated a little differently, because in elementary and middle, we do a serve. So we provide everybody with every different option. In high school, they have this choice, since they don't go to the meal isn't delivered to the classroom, the student goes to the cafeteria, and there they can choose. Okay, they know the rules because they're posted up there on the wall. They know they need to take a fruit, but let's just say they don't like grapes. Okay, that's fine, you can take the juice. Well, say you don't like juice, okay, that's fine, but you do need to take the grapes. So these are just kind of two different options of what a student would take, and this was actually on Tuesday, I believe. So in the summer, we offer summer meals, and that begins immediately as soon as summer school starts, which is the week right after the regular school year ends. This was established to ensure that low-income children continue to receive nutritious meals when school is not in session and is open to the community. Like our breakfast and lunch program, we must meet federal nutrition guidelines, and it's provided in areas with significant areas of low-income children. One of the things that makes summer a little different is that it is open to the public, and it's available to anyone between the ages of 1 to 18 years old. Another thing that's a little different is that a child can eat at any site they want. They don't have to necessarily, because I go to United South Middle, that I need to go eat at United South Middle. I can choose to eat at any site that's available. We publish this list on the UIZ main page right before summer begins, and that list gets updated because sites, sometimes they close because they only operate for a couple of weeks at a time, or but it's always being updated because there's sites opening and closing throughout the summer break. So I don't want to repeat myself too much here, but the summer is, as far as the meal patterns and what's required, it's a continuation of the regular school year. So your meal pattern is going to be the same. So you can expect to see what you would normally see for breakfast and lunch is what you would see during the summertime also. So something new that we started last year is the CACFP at-risk program. So maybe sometimes better known as a separate program. This program is intended to provide aid to child and adult care institutions and family or group daycare homes for the provision of nutritious foods that contribute to the wellness, healthy growth, and development of young children and the health and wellness of older adults and chronically impaired disabled persons. This program isn't necessarily really focused on children. It's more of a community program. It's something that is available to the public. Again, people between the ages of 1 to 18 can participate in this program. And this is one of the key components of this program that's required is that there has to be some type of enrichment activity happening at that site. So schools where you have tutorials, after-school daycare, 21st century program, these are the schools that pretty much automatically qualify, which is most of our schools, not all of them. Meal pattern requirements, it's a little bit different, and here we do have to serve every single one. There's no choice now that you have to you do have to take the fruit, but then you can choose from 3 other ones. No, this one is you do have to take all 5 of the menu items. So some examples of what you would see are nugget hearts, corn, watermelon shock, raisins, milk, barbecue sauce, ranch dressing. Also, one thing that's important about this program is that the food has to be different from what we normally serve at lunch. It can't be the same whatsoever. So all of our, in particular, our entrees. Our entrees are going to look very, very different from our regular lunch program. So I'm going to invite Ms. Cecilia Guzman. She's one of our dietitians, and she's going to talk a little bit about our special diets and also our menu, how we plan the menu, student input on creating that menu. So I'd like to invite Ms. Guzman up. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Cecilia Guzman. I'm so glad to be here and to be able to share with you also something important for us here at the district. So we are able to provide our students with special needs modifications to their regular menu. Obviously, For all of this, we need to follow a process. We need to have, our nurses are very familiar with the form that we are having right now this school year. We modify as needed this form, but this is something that the nurses provide to the mom, so the mom or the parent can take this form to their medical provider. It has to be a provider that is a doctor, right, or something that is licensed, and someone that is licensed. So when the parent turns in this form to the nurse provide this form to the manager, or the nurse send it direct to us, and then we need to review the form that is filled out correctly, because we need to make sure that these students really requires modification to the menu. If you can see here is provided by the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Individuals with Disabilities Education. These are the laws that we follow in order for us to serve those modifications for the students with special needs. In this form, we ask them if the student have a disability. That disability is not only something physical, it can be something gastrointestinal, something with eating. We have some students that requires for us to serve the menu puree, or something that is blended, modify the consistency. It can be that the student only is able to drink nectars or everything like a type of juice. And for that, we need to make sure that we are providing all the calories, right? All the nutrients that the student needs at the moment. Right now, we have more than 200, and we receive, I want to say, maybe one or more students by week, or maybe I want to say 5 students each week, new students, or sometimes we have students that already started with modifications and they added other modifications to the diet. It can be that the student have a food intolerance or an allergy, but an allergy, it can be to the wheat, an allergy or intolerance to the most students that we have is like intolerance to the milk. So normally the doctor tell us what type of milk we are gonna replace that. Or sometimes the doctor just say, hey, don't serve the milk. And we need this because we need to have proof for the USDA. We need to give proof why we are not providing something that is part of the regular components that we are serving for schools. As Mr. Lira mentioned, we need to provide, like, for example, for high schools, they need to take our breakfast, they need to take the milk right in the morning, and then just decide what other options they're gonna be eating in the morning. So this is something that we're following right now, and we provide all the different items or foods that the cafeteria manager requires in order to prepare those modifications for the student. Right now, we have the most that we have is in high schools, is the students that we have that requires more modifications. And then for the special diets, the form they can ask to their nurse. They have access to them, or they call us to get this form in order to see if the student goes through the special diets modifications. I don't know if you have any questions. You're gonna continue with the presentation? Oh yes, I can continue. How do you move here? Oh, and the students are part of the meal planning. So you are not.
Yeah, so we also, there's an app available through the App Store, Google and Apple Store, that has our menus on there. So not a lot of people are aware, but this video will explain to you all how to find that app and also rate our foods.
Family, keep watching to find out how to download our menu app, see nutrient facts, and rate and comment on our food. To download the web menu app, go to either the App Store or Google Play. Use the search bar to type in web menu and download the free app. Agree to the terms and conditions of the app before searching for your school by name or district. Use the menu bar to find and choose the breakfast or lunch menu. The page will automatically open to today's menu. A weekly calendar is displayed at the bottom of the page. You can click on a specific day of that week to view the menu or use the left and right arrows to choose another date. Each menu item is displayed with an individual calorie count. To see more nutrient information for an item, click on the item. This will take you to a nutrient label, including allergy information. Scroll down to rate the menu item. After rating from 0 to 5 stars, you have the option to leave your name and a comment. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoy our app, and don't forget to rate and comment on our menu.
The menu is in the website, so all the parents have access. So it's by school, by grade, so they're able to see the menu that we are providing. Normally, we upload the menu 3 weeks before the next month, so we already have the March menu over there in the website. It's available. Remember, it's a 4-week cycle. Sometimes we make some modifications, but we repeat the cycle for the school year. And sometimes we are going to talk about the food show. We're going to be having new items for next year. I remember I was in a high school recently, and they were asking, hey, I haven't seen the new items that I test. It was on November, and I was like, those new items are going to be the ones that have better participation that they like. They're going to be chosen to present next school year. So that's why she was like, I haven't seen them. I mean, I tried something, but you haven't served it to me. And I was like, no, just wait for next school year. We're going to have the ones that rated like 80% or more. When the students say, do you like it or not, the ones that they like it, we choose the 80% or more. Obviously, we also need to check all the nutrients that that product has in order for us to say, yes, we're gonna offer it for next school year.
So this is how we get the student input on creating the menu. We invite, at this point, we're inviting about 30 different vendors, and we ask them, because this has been also a sort of a learning process as we've done this food show to try to make it as efficient and get actual good data from it. Because in the beginning, we had a little more than 30 vendors, but we didn't put a cap on how many items they could bring. So of course, this vendor would come in and bring in 10 different items. So lucky vendor if, this one student goes to that table and eats all 10 different items, and then it's like, oh, I'm stuffed, I don't want to try anything else. So we've learned through the years just how to make it just more efficient and getting good data from these food shows.
And as you can see, it's different cultures because we also offer like the dumplings. We also try to do like, for example, tamales. So different cultures, right, in the menu. But you already know which one has more success, right? The pizza. The pizza is the one that has more success. It's just like presented like different. It's not like the regular slice of pizza, but it has all the components like the cheese, like the grain. Remember, everything is whole grain. But yeah, it's some of the stuff that is, some of the items that has more like success, like also like the popcorn chicken. It was like, there's gonna be ones that is like cheesy hot, like has like flavor, like the flaming hot, but obviously it's not like that. But the breaded of the chicken it has that type of flavor. But it's like low in sodium.
It's also a really good opportunity for our culinary kids. It was United South and, it was United High School and LBJ, their culinary programs. They volunteer and they help us work the booths. So they help, especially the young kids, in filling out their surveys. And also they get to get an experience of working in a food service setting, in that they've gotten really good feedback from the students that volunteer to help us, because they learn a lot from working this type of events. They learn a lot about food safety, the actual rules of the program. So it's been also a really good experience for the culinary programs. So this food show was last year's food show. So everything that wins, let's just say it, they won because they had the most acceptability. This is what we use this information to plan next year's menu. So yeah, like Cecilia was saying, I was at the food show last month, and I still haven't seen, what I liked. But, this, we get all this information just so that we can process and select our foods for the next school year.
I have a question.
Sure.
For those food shows, is it only for students, or is there a group of parents that also go? Or could there be a group of parents? Because a lot of times you hear the parents comment about the food, but if they maybe had like an experience like this, maybe they would have a different take. So I was just curious if it's an option for, I don't know, probably like every parent would
I
have
want
to
to
be
say
structured, but.
not an outside parent, but district, yeah, because the teachers or everyone that is there, like chaperoning the kids, they also takes even the bus drivers, right? Sometimes. Yeah. So personnel from the district also takes.
I have a unique, I was there in November. I went with my son. He's a fourth grader, and I actually went to the
Yeah.
taste testing thing.
Maybe like volunteers that the same school asked for parents or someone to take the kids, but yeah, maybe that we have, thank you.
I was a volunteer, yeah. I
to
went and
have
helped
like
with
parent
that.
input would be.
And I did get to vote on things.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
parent volunteers, that go with the schools, they have their input.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, that's
Of course, any questions, comments?
I did have a question about
Sure.
the app.
Okay?
So when parents or kids rate the food on the app, is that just like a placebo, or is that something that like you guys actually take
It's
into
a
account?
menu,
Okay.
it's the current menu that we have, so the survey is the current menu.
Yeah, I mean, do you take any information from those surveys? Like, people are rating it, but do you guys actually take that information and use it?
Well, it's part of it because we can't necessarily take that for face value. Really what counts a lot is like seeing what's really happening at the campus. Like seeing what, it's one thing for a student to like, okay, well, I chose this today, so you might assume that they like that, but that may not be the case. They could choose that and they could just throw it away. So we do look a lot at plate waste. That tells us a lot about, whether the students are really eating the food or not.
Yeah, and the student always presented two options in the day for lunch. So, for example, the pictures that we uploaded, it was the Monday was presented the raviolis with the garlic nut, and then the second option was the sandwich, the ham and cheese sandwich. So the students say, oh, I'm gonna try the sandwich because I don't feel like tasting the raviolis. But then, because it's a week cycle, they have the opportunity to say, last time I got the grilled cheese, now I want to try the raviolis. So that's when the managers are saying, what is the participation? Okay, they already know more or less which one is the one that they're gonna prefer. So yeah, that helps a lot. That's the way how as we know if something is liked or not by the students.
And then with the taste testing, I don't know if you guys will take recommendations, but because I was there with the kids, there were so many
Please.
schools and so many kids. I don't know if it was the location was too small or if there were too many children, but it was, and they had to digitally do it this time instead of the tickets. It was kind of chaotic. I mean, but they would say ooh, this is good, but they didn't know which one they were voting for or which person was counting it on the iPad. And so I didn't know if there was a way for maybe next year that they could do just a few classes at a time. And then even when we got there, we had to wait for 45 minutes until we actually could start because we were waiting for all of the schools to get there at the same time to start. So I didn't know if next time, whoever's there, they could just start going. I know it's easier said than done, of course. but-
It's a really big planning process that, that there's so many moving parts. We also have to be very considerate of the vendors as well. We give them instructions that, okay, from this time to this time, you can expect about so many students and be prepared for this amount. So, it's something that we try to control. And, there's so many factors that come into it. The bus schedules, it's, difficult I know, were you in the morning group, the early group?
Yeah, we were in there earlier.
So that one, I think we had about 18 schools, so about 18 schools. So just think about 18 buses trying to, getting there at the same time and waiting for the kids to, get off the buses. And waiting in the stands, because that's what you're talking about, right? When you're waiting in the stands just for it to get started. But if you do remember, we did start on time. Like when it did say, it said it was going to be from 9 to 10:30. Like we did start on the dot.
I think we were just a little too early then, it sounds like.
Maybe that's what it
Planning from the
was.
school, however, they want to be there.
Yeah, makes sense.
Not something that we can control.
But like I said, it's a learning
Yeah.
process every time, and we've been doing this for years, but every year we try to make it a little bit better. We learn from every single one. So we definitely take your thoughts into consideration when we're planning for our next one. So thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Something that they implemented in Houston, and I'm not sure if we have something similar here in Laredo, they have the backpack buddy for weekends to kind of help combat hunger on the weekends. And that was something implemented. I'm not sure if it's a community outreach initiative or if the school district did that, but they would provide them with 6 meals to take home for the weekend. And just, I know, that's, kids get fed Monday through Friday, but some of them maybe don't have access to something on the weekend. I know you're always looking for opportunities to expand what you offer, like you have the summer program.
Correct. So you said this was called the Backpack Buddy at
Backpack Buddy,
HISD?
so on Friday, and not necessarily by the school district, it may be a community
But in the city of Houston.
initiative, but being that you already have this audience, of 40,000 students, that may be an opportunity for you all to capitalize on and provide something for the weekend for children if they qualify.
Okay, and we'll definitely make note of that and see, how that service is being provided.
And if it's something that we can do here, for them to have something on the weekend.
Of course.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Circling back to the breakfast, Edwin Garcia, our athletic coordinator there at Alexander High School. I know Coach Mireles is here from LBJ. We have athletics first block, and a lot of our kids, I'm talking about 200 or more, they don't want to go because we're doing, athletic things going on. So I know we can't take food out of the cafeterias. I know that because it's not the sacrilege that y'all have for everybody else. Is there a way of doing that, for our kids, because I know that our cafeterias, the workers do a great job of taking care of us, but, there's certain things that they always ask, and they say we can't take food out or whatnot, they have to go. But because of the amount of time we have in the morning, a lot of our kids are not getting breakfast, because obviously they don't want to have to do a workout and, have that come out, so.
Yeah, of course.
So it just, I'd like to see if there's something that we could do for, about 200 plus kids. I know every campus, we all go through it,
Okay,
all
so
4 of us.
That is something we can definitely work with. We can definitely work with as long as the food stays on campus. Yeah, as long as the food stays on campus, we can definitely work with that. And if the athletes are willing to come pick the food up from the cafeteria, we can definitely, and they take it from there, we can definitely work with that.
Yeah, we could always, because of, obviously, because of the time frame.
And that was going to be my question, is
Yeah.
what time frame are we looking at?
Well, I would say about 9:15 to 9:30, and then they have 30 minutes to get showered up and dressed and have the breakfast. So like, I could send a couple of coaches, and we have a list of, ID numbers, and pick up food, and then make it available at the field house for them. That's something that we could do just to kind of speed up the process. Because if I send them over there, you're looking at, obviously, we're always talking about time, it's 10 to 15 minutes, and, and then they take the time coming back, and then now we're looking at the second block, and, students are getting in trouble because of tardies and whatnot. So if we could mitigate that problem, if we could do it, I have coaches that could go and pick it up, have it ready for them. As they're getting out of workout, then there's their meal right there ready to go. They'll take a shower, come eat, or they're eating, and they go take their showers and get ready for school. But I know there's always kind of, our cafeteria ladies, there's something like they can't take food out of the cafeteria or, stuff like that. So it's kind of, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. And we're just trying to feed the kids and make sure they get a meal.
The biggest one on that one is, in previous years, Coach, how many do you have? 250, how many do you have? Whatever. It was 250 breakfasts were sent to the field house.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think the biggest one, for money purposes, it's always about money, right? We can't send 250 because yes, you're turning in a list, you know, of 200 names with IDs, but Annette Perez is absent today. How is she getting a meal? And I think that's where
Yeah, that's where the problem
biggest-
was.
why they don't let breakfast come out from, you know.
So what I was thinking is, I mean, we could basically handle this, like, let's just say, like breakfast in the classroom. You know, it would be very similar, but it would be the responsibility of whoever is doing those rosters just to make sure that they are correct, because it is accountability. You know, we do need to have the backup to make sure that, you know, we sent out this many
Provide
meals.
a list of all, you know, IDs and numbers, but then I can't guarantee that we get 100%, you know, attendance. You know, so now you send over 100
No,
meals.
no, not like that, but
It's the
it
same
would
thing
need
that
to be.
happens to, with the breakfast in the classroom. So
Yes.
the manager knows, she has a list, and then maybe we took like 30 bags, and then they bring back like maybe 10 or 15.
Oh, so we
that's
take back
okay
the
to
food.
happen.
Correct.
That's okay.
For-
It's not-
So for whatever students didn't attend that day, the food would need to be returned.
After working out, I'm sure their kids can eat 2 meals from after
Yeah.
the workout. But yeah, like, I understand the checks and balances, but that's a good point, because a lot of our athletic kids, you know, because there's a lot of sports going on in the morning. We got football, we got cross country, we got tennis, we
Yeah.
got, and those kids don't eat because they're in athletics and they gotta get dressed and then they gotta go. So, yeah, there could be something, kind of like how you all did the breakfast in the classroom, the teacher would mark, okay, who's here, and then you send that list back.
Right, yeah, so we can do that. I mean, that's something we can definitely work with. We just need that help also in that, you know, just
No, we
making sure
can do
that the
lists, we
rosters.
can do, yeah, that's obviously something we do our part when it comes to that. But it's okay, it would be okay to ask them to say, we'll go pick them up and then we'll give you the list afterward. You know, sometimes they say, well, we need the list so we can give you the number. It's kind of hard to gauge who's gonna be here, who's gonna be not be here. You know, it would have to be after the day finishes that we could give that list back.
So let's say we could do it like this. So let's say you have 200 students, right? So you're going to have a roster that has 200 students, whether they're there or not. And the way it works is that to the right of that roster, there's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So on Monday, it'd be a matter of just putting a check mark. Did they come in or not? And then you just turn that in at the end of breakfast period.
Perfect, we can do that.
Your name,
Edwin Garcia.
so we can contact you, so the manager can have the instructions and everything to start.
It's all the high schools really, because we all have athletic blocks the first part of it.
challenges, right?
Is
Yes.
it the same with band?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, yes, yeah.
So
So
that'd be another group you
Yeah, that's
want
another
to
group.
capitalize on.
actually, band is in the morning also, because they have different blocks, but they have a big part in the morning.
In the morning.
It could be dance, cheer.
It's
Yeah.
the elective, so you could contact our 4 high school coordinators, or Bobby Cruz can give you their information for athletics, and then Jerry Rodriguez can help you out with the fine arts, which is your band, your color guard.
And a lot of us get there early, super early, so they're not gonna get there at 7:30 when the cafeteria's open. And we go into the first block, so they don't have the amount of time the other students have to go eat their breakfast. You know, so that's why they give us a little bit of time towards the end. But, you know, it's just because of time, they have to get dressed and get ready to go to class, and they don't have a chance to.
Of course, and we want to do
And
everything
if
we
we have it over
can
here, just
to
easier. so they can just
support
eat.
and provide those meals.
Yeah.
So, you know, thanks for that feedback so that, you know, we can do our part in making sure that students are getting their meals.
Perfect.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a comment just to add that we do have our communities and schools that both support our students in need with groceries, I think. And there is a program for that for if they're needy and they need vouchers, I think they apply for that, even mental health, I'll be talking about that. And there's a lot of support for our students that are in need of those supports is federal programs. I think it's vouchers, and some of these kids in past years, they would get boxes of groceries or the vouchers.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I do have one question about, I mean, maybe this is individual to each school, but I wanted to talk about like parties that the kids have at school, and then they have like treats that the teachers ask to send. I don't know if that's per teacher or per school, or like if it's you guys that are involved. But I had just noticed, and granted I came from a different state, so I mean, It's different for every place that you go to. But just like looking at the list of food that is provided at the parties or that they're asking for the parties, like one example of literally today is Valentine's Day, so they're having a party. And on that list is cupcakes, soda, donuts, juice, chips, and candy. That's for one of my kids' class. And that's what they're asking for like a party. And in my opinion, like in my past, in like another school in another state, if you had like a party, it was like, okay, cupcakes and juice, or donuts and chocolate milk, or donuts and milk, or something like that. Just like two things. But like we look at like what they're eating at these like I am just shocked at like what they come home with or like what they're eating during this time, and I can't regulate it because I'm not there. But like the amount of sugar and that is given to them during those parties is just too much in my opinion. So my kids kind of get mad at me because I like want to send bagged apples, which I can't
This
do.
is something individual with the school. You can work with with the teacher that is representing this, because here at the district we have the exam days. So like today is we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 exam
Six
days
exam
during
days.
the school year, right? Like the 24, 25 school year, we only have those exam days. So we are allowing the school, the teacher to say, hey, we are not gonna control like it's a smart snack, how many calories or nothing. But as I mentioned, it's only like today, February 13th, and then the next one is gonna be on March the 7th, the last day before spring break. But yeah, I would like with the.
So that's something I have to take up with the teacher or the principal.
Yeah, probably the administration, because they're the ones who work with the teachers to, set up the different class parties.
Every school is different.
Okay.
So it would, I would go with your administration first and, just make these recommendations and these concerns for your
And
child's
possibly
class.
the teacher as well. I would think if the teacher is more of a fitness advocate or healthy eating advocate, then maybe she would encourage that in her classroom. Now, I have no idea, and I don't want to know
I'm not gonna say.
who the teacher is,
I won't say.
but I think also a lot of the things that you can take, I think the teachers would need some ideas, because typically as a parent, that's what I resort to. You take pizza, you take cupcakes, there are things you can easily buy and send with your child.
But I just don't understand why it has to be multiple, like why do we have to have donuts and cupcakes and chips
I
and
think
soda?
because my kids were in school, what happens is when these foods of minimal nutritional values came into play, they only have those 5 or 6 days a year. Other than that, they cannot have cupcakes or donuts or any of that stuff at the school. So
I mean, birthday parties, usually everybody.
why I think they're not supposed to. So
So
they're-
the rule there is,
the rule is only those.
They have to
Only
take,
those
if they
days.
give a candy bag, there's some in some schools, you take the candy back to house, not to eat it in.
Yeah, you can't eat those in school, and so the teachers, in the case of when my kids were in school, they wanted to give them options. So it's not like the kid's gonna get the cupcake and the donut and it's just
Okay.
the options, because those are only the 5 or 6 days a year that they can have that in their class.
Okay.
So it's up to the teacher.
No, that's a good perspective, because I was just like, oh my gosh, my
And
kids
for
are
the
eating
birthday
all of
parties, I
this.
think it varies by campus also. Some will say, okay, well, you had like 5 birthdays in September, we're gonna use the last Friday. Those 5 parents get together, you bring this, you bring that. So that also varies, I think, from grade levels and from schools as well.
Okay.
Like in my experiences too.
Because I do know that like McDonald's will donate, like if you have like a large amount, like McDonald's donates those like bagged apples. So like if that's something that like we need to like look to. I mean, I have in the past, that was in Iowa. I don't know about here, but I do know that McDonald's donates. Like if you call them ahead, like a week ahead, they will donate like so many bagged apples. So, okay, that's good to know. I'll talk to the administration about it. Thank you for that perspective.
thank you.
Because I was like, oh my gosh, my kids.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. That was a lot of good information. It's like we pick 1 or 2 hot topics and we can just kind of snowball from it, because it's like, things start thinking and, oh yeah, that's a great idea. And I want to comment about that or ask about that. And this is, where we can do it. So thank you so much, Mr. Lira and your department, for being here to enlighten us with these things. I really liked that app that shows the menu. I mean, I think as a parent, when you're scrambling to try to pack lunches and you're like, oh, they have pizza, they like the pizza, great, I don't have to worry about packing lunch today, so it kind of makes it easier. Okay, so our last presenter for today is going to be Ms. Xochitl Gladys, and she is from our counseling department. She's going to give a presentation on building resilience, and this is also a guide for the parents, so you as parents, you know what you can help your child with at their house. Thank you.
Before I start, I do want to thank Mr. Lira for allowing Ms. Guzman to present at our schools. During the month of February, I invited them to talk to our students at LBJ Main and LBJ 9th grade campus, so thank you again for being there for us. And we did talk about different options, right, healthy options. So I think it was really awesome that you presented, and I'll have you probably next year go again to our school. Again, my name is Ms. Gladys, and I am an LPC, licensed professional counselor for the LBJ feeder pattern. I service 13 schools, and aside from that, yes, I am from the guidance and counseling department, and here with me today is Michelle in the back with me. She's also from the guidance and counseling department, and she's one of our associate directors or coordinators. Coordinator for high school, yes? And secondary, okay. So today, again, my role is to talk about building resiliency in our students, and it is a guide for our parents to understand our youth today, right? Our youth is facing a lot of many challenges. How many of you were in the classroom many years ago, maybe 10 years ago? We were not dealing with the challenges that we are dealing with today. I am astonished that every year it gets a little bit more challenging to deal with different mental health challenges in the district. From elementary, middle, and high, we're seeing a lot of anxiety. So building that resiliency, the coping skills is going to be key in raising our children healthy. Understanding mental health in youth and the unique challenges for Laredo, I want to say there's still a lot of stigma around the world, right? But here again is mainly our Hispanic families. They will tell the students, you don't talk about personal situations or private things to anyone. So even them sharing, it's a little bit scary because of our cultural stigma and reaching out. Even when I do get that consent from the parents, they do ask me, is it confidential? Yes, it is confidential. Everything that your son or your daughter shares in here with me is confidential unless there's three things, right? If they tell me that they want to hurt themselves, if they want to hurt someone, or someone is hurting them. Those are the three things that we do not keep secrets. So we ensure that the student is safe to process and vent in our spaces. Another thing is our language barriers. Many parents do tell me, Ms. Gladys, I took my son or my daughter to the counselor outside of the community, but they didn't speak Spanish. So I do tell them that they do have a right to request a translator and that they are provided with at least someone that can explain to them their services. Lucky, I'm going to say that we do have our counselors, for the most part, they're bilingual. And there's 4 LPCs for each feeder pattern. So I myself service the LBJ, and Ms. Pelham services United South, Ms. Ijeoma services Alexander High School, and I am forgetting Elda Salinas United North. And so there's 4 LPCs for the district, and then we have our school counselors. The referral process is that they go through their school counselor, and then they are referred to us. Or sometimes a parent comes in directly and asks to speak with us, and we do make that happen, and based on the services if they qualify for that. Again, and integrational dynamics. Hispanic youth often navigate complex family expectations and cultural pressures. So we want to make sure that the families and the students themselves feel safe coming in and talking to us in a respectful manner and respecting each family, because each family has their own views And they get to choose how they want to service their student. I do tell parents, you all have rights as parents. We, as professionals, we're always going to refer out to Border Region. That's our mental health authority. However, as a parent, you choose the best way that you want your son or your daughter to get treated. If in any reason you do not take your child to get treated with either the physician, right, a counselor, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, anyone that you feel that would be of service and support to your son or daughter, then we do not make that CPS report. Yes? Because you have a right to choose how you're going to treat your son or your daughter. Defining resiliency, bouncing back from adversity. So adaptation, we want to make sure that if that student is going through a challenging phase, that they can find the adequate coping skills to deal in that situation. So we are teaching them different coping skills and involving the family, even providing some type of resources that they can, again, take home. And these are the things that you can practice when you get home. A lot of our students face different challenges outside of the school and inside of the school, so you want to make sure that they adapt to those changes. Maybe the student is coming from a different school, okay? And they're adapting to now that. Or they're new to the early college. That has been that's a very stressful part of our now students, that before they were not taking those advanced, maybe they were taking advanced courses, but now they're in early college, or they're in the early start pathway program, yes? Or they're in the GOLD program. So that is a lot of stress at a very early age, okay? So think about that. Growth, resiliency means growing from difficult experiences and not avoiding them. You know, we're not gonna brush them and say, you're gonna be fine, you're gonna be okay. Okay, let's talk about it, okay? How many of you have teenagers here? Raise your hands, yes? When they get home, what is their usual response? How did it go? What's their usual response? Fine. What did you do? Nothing. So finding those key things to tell them, like, okay, tell me something funny that happened in school. They're more likely to answer if you find creative ways to ask them. So if you do see that they need to talk about it, refer them to the school counselor, or they'll refer them to me. I do have a huge caseload, about 160 students. I know that it is very difficult, especially our high-risk students, but making sure that at least we refer them out if we feel that they need a lot more support than kind of like a check-in in that sense. The pillars of resiliency: connection, purpose, and coping skills. Again, it's important that we connect with our students, and that I guess me as a school counselor / LPC, I ensure that we are reminding our teachers that a lot of our students come in with different challenges. So connecting is going to be key, that I can trust my teacher, they feel safe connecting with that adult. And so that is key for us. We do have an SEL program in our district, which is a social emotional learning, and we are integrating that on a daily basis. I believe high school is through second period. Every school is different, but we are promoting the SEL across the district, social emotional learning, throughout every day. The purpose. Do these students have a purpose? Do they find meaning in going to school? Are they involved in sports, extracurricular activity, anything outside of the school, instead of just that isolation and being connected to their phones, right, 24/7, or their iPad or the TV? And building enough coping skills, and that they're healthy. They're not just isolating through the, the headphones, right? Or connecting to the video games, making sure that they're doing something healthy every day. I remind students that, again, healthy eating is part of it, and also exercise. And what are we eating every day up here? If we're thinking negative, if we're always worrying, or some of our students are perfectionists. So teaching them that it's okay to fail. It's part of growth to fail and kind of teach them those strategies of problem solving throughout the day. Communication, again, is key in talking to our students about mental health. Listen without judgment. There's a new trend out in TikTok. We listen and we don't what? Don't judge, right? So we just listen. Some of us are very quick to tell our kids, oh, but you don't know what love is. You're just a kid, right? So we're invalidating them. So just listen and ask them, do you want me to listen or do you want my advice? And for the most part, they're going to tell you, just listen to me, okay? And seeking help is okay to seek help with a trusted adult. And again, validating what they're feeling in the moment and encourage them. And steer away from, as a parent, we tend to tell our students as well, oh, you don't know what stress is. I used to go to, I had to take the bus. And guess what? You're taken to school or you get to take the bus. So don't invalidate them because those are things that the kids tell me. That's why I do not open up to my mom or dad. Because right away they'll tell me a story from 1901 when they were young, right? Yeah. And it never seems to amaze me, even adults, right, are invalidated. When you're opening up to a friend or the husband, oh, you have no stress. You're a stay-home mom. There's no stress in being a stay-home mom, right? So those are things that we need to be careful from steering away from that. Creating a safe space, actively listen to your child, validate their feelings, and encourage them to express themselves. And maybe put it back on them. So, okay, I was able to listen to what you shared with me today. What's your plan? And see what their response is. Listen to what their action or their action plan is and support them. Practical tips for supporting youth mental health. Again, creating a safe space for communication. Establish a regular time where you can get them to open up. Sometimes we're very busy ourselves and we're like talking to someone and we'll tell them like, wait. And that, if you tell them that, what's gonna happen? If you tell your child to wait, what's usually the response later? Okay, what were you gonna tell me? Just forget it, right? That's typical of especially our teenagers, our middle schoolers. Just forget it. It's fine, I got it. So making sure that in the moment, they do have your full attention. Normalize emotional expression. Encourage discussing feelings. It's okay for them to cry. Our boys, most of our boys do tell me, my dad tells me that men don't cry, okay? I actually attended there was a crisis in Rio Bravo. We lost one of our younger students. And there was a boy standing and he felt uncomfortable and he kept on he didn't know what to do because everyone was hugging each other. Everyone, they were all just hugging each other because they had just lost their little friend. And I said, it's okay, you can go and join them. And he's like, no, I don't hug girls, you know. I don't cry. My dad told me I'm a man. And I'm like, okay, you're a boy. And it's okay if you feel bad. And but he did have a difficult time, like opening up about his feelings and how he felt his friend not being there in the classroom because of what had happened, right? So develop healthy coping strategies, teach stress management techniques, maybe a mindfulness activity. Ourselves, we can, go outside, let's take off our socks and go walk in the grass, get that energy from the ground and just, I don't know, maybe later on, those of you have a swimming pool, let's go swimming or let's go for a walk or let's sit in silence. Just sitting there with them in silence. And I'm here. Some of us are very, very quick to, what's wrong? You're mad. And again, steer away from that. I've noticed you're down. Instead of, what's wrong with you? Why do you have that face? okay? Those are the things that the kids tell me. And guess what? I love them because I'm learning how to be a better mom. I have teenagers, I have a special needs daughter, so they teach me or they remind me what not to do. Yes. Or they'll tell me, I go home and instead of my mom, hugging me, and don't forget to clean your room. I'm like, oh, that's me. Yeah. And so being careful with that is letting them know, oh, I missed you. I'm glad you're back. And how was your day? Instead of like, make sure you clean your room and getting them to do their chores, right? Promote self-care routines. And of course, our sleep hygiene is extremely important, that they have a schedule. And it is very difficult, especially when both parents are working, to kind of stick to those schedules, right, and our sleeping routine. Creating a supportive home environment where there's respect, there's traditions, and that they have that openness to come and tell you about whatever they want to talk about, okay? Embracing your heritage. I think that today we've steered away from not being very involved with our kids. We're all guilty of that. I think it becomes very challenging to even have one meal together because of our work schedules, but maybe weekends, making it a priority that we're all gonna have breakfast or we're all gonna have lunch, and let's put our phones away, right? And bring in those traditions that we experience with our parents. And recognizing the signs of distress. If you notice that there's any changes, you've noticed that they've been withdrawing or isolating, you notice there's anxiety and hopelessness, make sure you're reaching out, and there is a lot of support. We do have a lot of resources in our community, starting with Boulder Region, Webb County Mental Health, Laredo Health Department, Pillar, SCAN. SCAN, I want to say that back in the day, we remember SCAN as a place. Those of you that are from Laredo, what is SCAN known for? Someone dealing with substance use. It's not just substance use. They have a lot of great programs. They even have a support group for teen dating violence. It's called SASSY. And so there's a lot of great resources. However, if you do have insurance, of course, seek out a private counselor. But even the parents that have Medicaid, some parents think that Boulder Region is the only place that they can go to, and it's not. If that child has Medicaid, you can go to an LPC privately, and some of those LPCs take Medicaid. You can seek out a neurologist, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, even virtually, even behavioral support. But it's gonna be up to the parent to go and seek out those services. You even get reimbursed for transportation. If you did not know that, you do get reimbursed. The parents get reimbursed. So if they do have a difficult time transporting their child because they don't want their child to be serviced by someone here in Laredo, they will get their money reimbursed, as long as they have a referral from their PCP, which is their primary care physician. And I want to remind parents of that. Before I end my session, I did want to tell a story. Again, I've been doing this for a long time. Before I became an LPC, I worked for CPS, and I worked as a teacher for the district. And I've been noticing some kids will come in and they tell me, I don't know why I feel the way I do. I feel very anxious. I feel I can't breathe, or I'm feeling sad and I can't pinpoint why. And so my first question is, when was the last time that your parents took you to the doctor? I've had kids tell me, oh, the last time I was taken to the doctor was when I was 9 years old. I have found numerous students that they will come back with a thyroid disorder, low vitamin deficiencies. Those are the two most common factors. And as an LPC, I want to make sure that we're treating, yes, we're providing that support, but what if it's something else? And you're thinking, oh, it's mental health, I feel anxiety. And if you didn't know, when your thyroid doesn't function well, it can mimic anxiety, depression, or even There's a lack of focus, there's a lot of fatigue. Even ourselves, sometimes we think, why am I feeling this way? And sure enough, oh, you're low on iron, you're low on vitamin D, and a lot of us are low in vitamin D. Back in the day, there's a lot of research that who were the people that were low on vitamin D? What population was that? Our elderly. Our elderly. It's the other way around now. Now our youth has low vitamin deficiency because there's very few people that spend time outside because they're so fixated on the phone, right? We do have UISD mental health resources. Again, our school counselors are there for you. If your son or your daughter needs that support, we have our guidance and counseling team that they do refer out to us. And there's crisis support. 988 is now the suicide hotline, and I do have some magnets in the back. And then our district also has a page with mental health resources. And there's a lot of support, how to safeguard your home, okay? And anxiety helping handout for school and home, different resources, whether it's suicide, violence, anxiety, mental health. There's a lot of information here in our UISD district. Practical strategies for building resiliency. Again, exercise, maybe practicing gratitude, and our mindfulness. In our culture, and I'm going to say in the Hispanic culture, we get that a lot. Who has time for that? Yes? So we need to make time. We need to make time to rest, to connect, to have those difficult conversations. Sometimes we don't want to pry, and especially with our teenagers, I think it's important for us to ask, are you okay? Is there anything you want to talk to me? You can trust me and be consistent with that support. Any questions? No? It was a pleasure meeting all of you. If you do have any questions for me, my last name is Mezcladis, and you can find me, it's not very common, or just reach out to the Guidance and Counseling Department. Thank you, and have a beautiful day.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gladys. I appreciate it. Another great topic. I mean, these are all key topics that we can, go back to our families and our children and kind of reiterate stuff. And then there's something that you're taking home with you. So thank you all again so much for coming. We went a little bit over, but it was great information. I didn't want to rush any of our presenters because, I think this is something we can all take home and share with our families. We will have one more meeting, and it's going to be probably in April and May. We're going to try to squeeze it in because it does get a little hectic with testing and STAR and all that kind of stuff. But we do appreciate you coming in. Again, if there's any other topics that you'd like to hear some more information about, please reach out. I know Randolyn Covington is the one who emails our invite. You can reply back to her and, let us know on the topics. And again, thank you all so much. I appreciate it, and have a great Valentine's tomorrow.